considering what's happening with Carmelo Anthony versus Austin Metcalf. The
Sad.
decision was handed down, and Carmelo
34
has
years.
been convicted guilty of murder and sentenced to 35 years. And then also, Metcalf's father has been on social media being a racist,
Talking crazy.
being a racist, calling him names like watermelon felon. I'm not sure why people think the watermelon thing is an insult still, but
Watermelon is
okay.
excellent. I love
It
it.
is.
Love watermelon.
Yeah.
You're never going to steer me away from watermelon. I
No.
eat
Yeah.
watermelon every single day.
Just make
Right.
sure it's watermelon with the seeds.
With the
But-
seeds.
Yeah.
But there were also no black jurors
I heard
on
that.
Mhm.
the case. And then also Anthony's parents used a white attorney in belief that it would be more helpful for him.
Right.
What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, me, I'm not surprised at all how everything, turned out, because once again, we live in two different Americas, right? And black lives truly don't matter in this country, even the lives of black children, right? Situations like, the situation with Carmelo, it's really tough, because when you dive deep into the whole story, it's a lot of moving pieces, right? But it all comes back to our lives have no value, especially our children.
Yep.
Years ago, we started the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm like, we need to start a movement called Black Lives Don't Matter. Just to get people to understand how we feel as black people in this country. For, a mother, she's trying to strategize. She knows what her son is up against. So she's like, I got to get a white attorney, you know what I mean? And try to, maybe he'll know maybe the best defense for my son, and then they set us up, no black jurors at all. It's supposed to be a jury of your peers, but they'll say in the law that has nothing to do with color. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just sad, and it kind of takes me back to, like, you think about things like the 16th Street church bombing, right, in 1963, where 5 black children lost their lives in Alabama. That case was closed because the FBI felt like basically it was no necessary. Nobody was convicted in that until 1977, right? So when something like this happens, it just makes me think about how this country has constantly showed us that our lives and the lives of our children do not matter.
My sentiments on this are that black people need to stay out of predominantly white spaces if they can, completely. We need to divest from whiteness in every way that we can. Stop sending your kids to predominantly white schools. I know you can't help that you go to work with predominantly white people. You got to get your bread. But anywhere in life and society that you can stay away from predominantly white spaces, you need to stay away, because black people are not safe when surrounded by white people. They're just not. We're not. Our kids aren't. And that's what it is. You can't even defend yourself in a predominantly white space without it coming back on you. And black people need to start accepting the jury duty. Say yes to the jury duty, please. Because
It's true.
I understand it's inconvenient, but you ain't got going on for real. Like, you can take a week off and do that damn jury duty.
Right.
Because when you go to jury duty, they ask you a series of questions to see if you're eligible to be a juror on the case. If there are no black people, and we know that black people are the highest incarcerated rate in America, right? There's more black people in jail right now than white people are. That's just facts. So what do you think is going to happen if yet another black person is taking something to trial, and because black people don't want to do jury duty, all the jurors are white? You think they're more likely to stay free, or are they going to go to jail?
Yeah.
Black people, we need to start doing jury duty. We have to help each other stay free, because they're locking us up. The slave catchers are re-enslaving us.
See, the thing is, we really got to start in our community, like block by block, community by community. Where was this? What city this was in? Carmelo's piece.
This was in Texas.
It's Texas.
It's in
I know it's
Texas.
Texas, but like, what you said? What was it?
Yeah, Frisco,
right?
It's probably predominantly
And so
that county.
It's a county.
is
It's predominantly white. The blacks there are probably not just disenfranchised, but detached from community, from one another. We have to be intentional about building and restoring our own communities and using civic engagement. So both the things you said were right. We all should be going to jury duty, but also when any place you are with Black folk, you need to begin to have meetings, block and tenant meetings, church meetings, where you begin to find mechanisms of protection for yourself because you are not safe. You may be safe in Brooklyn, but in a place like Frisco, Texas, you are not safe. And this idea that we don't live, because we live in a post-civil rights society, does not mean we live in a post-racial society. If anything, racism is at an all-time high. And so every part of what America is designed to attack and violate us, our human rights and our very life. We gotta be intentional. I talk about little things like wearing your friends, right? So one thing I do a lot, we have a lot of vendors like that come to Stoop Set or whatever, and I wear those shirts, Roots of Brooklyn, School Milk. These are friends. These are people that got designs, Silver Fox, BK, and I wear their stuff intentionally because I want to help support. We got to lower our footprint in white America. How we spend our money, where we spend our time, where we spend our attention. We got to lessen that. And if we begin to think in that way, we can, and I'm not saying that this situation could have been helped, right? He's in a city where, like you said, unfortunately, there's an all-white jury pool, right? He's not going to get a fair trial. He may they can take it to appeal. He may be fighting this for the rest of his, probably going to be fighting this one way or another for the rest of his life. But this is the lessons that we need to really understand why Black unification is so important.
Integration was the worst thing that happened to us after slavery, honestly. I'm not sorry to say it. It's the worst thing that happened to us because not only did we integrate physically, but we integrated mentally. The fact that his parents sought out a white attorney as opposed to a Black one because they thought it could help him. How do you know how cooked your mindset has to be?
As a mother, she had to weigh in a few options before she made to that decision because she's looking at her community. She's looking at her demographic. She's looking at what's going on. Even that
decision is rooted in racism because you really thought that a white person was going to do better by your Black son than a Black person. And that is the result of integration and wanting to be adjacent to white people. We never will be adjacent to white people. We'll never be that. We should always be, again, like you said, uplifting our own, investing in our own, surrounded by our own. Integration was the worst thing that ever happened to Black people after slavery.
And I ain't really worried about the watermelon felon comment.
Yeah,
like,
who cares?
I don't care about that. But what I care about is ensuring that we can survive in America so that we have the tools and processes and protocols that we know how to survive. Because we've seen this with Trayvon Martin. We've seen this with Eleanor Bumpurs back in the day. Like we can go on and on and on about Blacks who have either been killed at the hands of white oppression or have been arrested, convicted, and sent away at the hands of white oppression. Right? So this is an old story made anew again by just another example. We got to wake up and say, listen, we're going to minimize our opportunity for liability in that space and just be intentional about it.
And the white perpetrators never get convicted. Zimmerman is still alive. That Asian man that killed
Rick Chow.
Rick Chow. He has not been convicted for killing that Black boy
in Columbia,
over
South Carolina.
a bottle of water that he didn't even steal.
No water found.
And these people we're integrated with them. They're in our communities. Rick Chow got a store in a Black community.
Community.
It makes no sense. Integration is the worst thing that ever happened.
My father used to say something. My father used to say, if Black people got together in America and had a meeting and decided in this meeting that they were all going to leave America and go to Africa or go wherever, but leave America, every Black person, and whites found out about that meeting, they'd close all the airports. They shut down all the ports. They'll close the border. They would demand that you stay.
And if we actually made it to Africa, they would follow us there and buy up all the land and buy up all the businesses so that we would have to be in the same place we are right now, paying them for everything. Like Black people, when these racists get online and they say, "Oh, go back to Africa," you would never allow that.
Never.
We spend too much money in America. This American economy would collapse without Black people.
Definitely.
So they would never allow. So all that racist watermelon, fried chicken, go back to Africa. That means absolutely nothing. So care about that. Like, it means nothing.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question before we move on? Like, as a panel of 4 Black people, right? Looking at like the situation, the case as a whole, once again, playing devil's advocate for lack of a better term, just looking at the case, is there a conversation that maybe needs to be had on teaching our kids and our children how to react in certain situations where they know, like, should something happen, you're not going to get a fair shake because of how the world and society and community looks at you. We're already criminalized from the jump, right?
Yeah.
So looking at the case, this is where, and God bless a young white man, Austin lost his life, so with that's horrible. But is there a deeper conversation we need to have as to, like, basically preparing our children how to carry themselves when they deal with conflict, maybe in a situation where there's not a lot of us there, where they are the minority. If they go to like a predominantly white school or they're in predominantly white spaces and have to interact with white kids and deal with situations, is there a conversation we need to have on how we need to react in those spaces?
Unfortunately, yes.
Hell yeah.
Unfortunately, because we're already integrated. Unfortunately, yes. You can't defend yourself as a Black person in a predominantly white space.
Yeah.
You have to kind of let whatever's happening. You have to do like the bare minimum so that you can't be painted as the aggressor. And it's honestly insane that we even have to have these conversations with our children. But unfortunately, yes, that's the world we live in. Like, if you want to stay alive as a Black person, there are things you need to know about white people, and there are ways you need to act around white people.
Exactly.
But also, there has to be go on. Yeah.
I wanted to say my daughter go to school in Park Slope, and I had to have that conversation with my daughter like when she was 5, because predominantly her classmates are white.
Same.
And my daughter has a raspy voice, and she come off a little bit more direct, and the whiter counterparts are more squeaky, like, voice. So when my daughter's talking, they're like, well, why is she talking to me like that? So then now I'm finding out my daughter's 8 years old. My daughter talks like a baby so that she won't sound, her tone can change so she won't sound aggressive. Wow. She even wrote that in that little essay. She said, I learned how to change my tone so that I won't sound aggressive. But I had to talk to her a few times because they didn't understand. And I'm talking to the teacher. It's like, is this how the way she speaks? And it's like, she's not speaking any different. It's just, like we have a little bit deeper voice and a little raspy, but that's what she's doing.
That infuriates me because she can't even grow up to be her
Herself,
full self.
Right.
They don't look at our children as children, though. That's the problem.
Yeah. From birth, they are a threat. Like, as soon as they're out of the cute baby stage where now they can walk and think and talk back, they're a threat. They're not children. They're over-sexualized. Right. They're threatening. Right. They're disposable.